And welcome to Spiritual Perspective. My name is Esther Masharia, and I'm happy to be with you for yet another episode of discovering God and knowing the will of God, getting to find out a new revelation from the Lord as we learn and grow spiritually. And today, as we talk about when a season ends, we get to know how the end comes about and what the transition is all about. So life is basically about seasons, and God made the seasons. That's what we learn in the book of Ecclesiastes 3 and verse 1. It says that God created the seasons. And so God is a God of seasons. That's why every time we go through different seasons and we say that God orchestrated the seasons that we go through or we are going through. So we have 4 popular seasons in a year. We have a spring, we have summer, we have fall, and we have winter. All these are seasons that come and go. None of them last. And so you find that just like nature has its own seasons, even we human beings do have our seasons. And even just like in nature, our seasons come and go. They never last. They have a time and a duration. They have a timing in which they start and they have a timing in which they end. There's a lot of similarity though between the human seasons and the seasons that happen in the nature. And you find that some seasons are favorable, others are unfavorable, depending on how you look at life. Whichever your preference is, those seasons will come and go. But the truth of the matter is, some people thrive well in some seasons than others. Even in life, there are people who can handle such seasons, whereas there are others who handle some seasons with a lot of grace, because we don't all operate the same and we are created differently. And in whichever part of the coin you are in, whether you love a season or you don't like it, the truth and the beauty of it is that that season will not last forever. There will be a time for it to start and there will be a time for it to end. Just like the same book of Ecclesiastes says that there's a time to be born and a time to die. There is time for everything under the sun. So we may ask, when does a season end and when do we know the beginning of a season? And if we look at the Bible, we will see a lot of examples of when seasons started, when others ended, and the transition that was there in between. I'd like us to look at the book of 1 Kings chapter 17 and verse 2. This is the time of Elijah when he was taken by the Lord to Kerith Ravine, and there the Lord took him to the wilderness for a season. So this was Prophet Elijah's time to be in the wilderness, which was a season for him. And we see the transition from his normal life to the wilderness, in which the Lord tells him, I want you to go to Kerith Ravine, and in Kerith Ravine, I will feed you from there. I will provide for you whatever it is that you need. And so he goes from his comfort zone into a place that is unknown to him, but the Lord assures him that he's going to be with him. And so using that story, I want us just to learn about how we know a season coming to an end and another starting, because the same Bible tells us that the end of a matter is better than the beginning. And I keep saying why that is so is because the end will always have a new beginning. The end is not the end. So I want us to look at some of the things that tell us that a season is ending, and we are going to base everything on mainly the story of Elijah in the wilderness and out of the wilderness, and other Bible stories which talk about different seasons ending or some even starting. So one of the things that we see when a season is ending is the water stops running, or we can say that the brook runs dry. That is the same thing that happened with Elijah. His brook dried. And in life as a Christian, you will see your water coming to dry. A brook just doesn't dry. It goes subsiding. And that is what happens when seasons are coming to an end. That's what happens in our lives. And this can happen even in a job. Maybe if somebody is employed, you start noticing things of how your brook drying. For instance, maybe you held a corner office and somebody comes and tells you, we need to use your office, so we're giving you another smaller office, and that office is given to somebody else. That is a sign of the brook drying. So the brook starts developing small and small things that tells you there is something here that is happening. The other thing that also diminishes or goes fading away is a favor. You find that you are having favor in some certain offices, with some certain people, with some certain environments, but all of a sudden the favor is gone. It's like everybody is against you. You start feeling unwanted. You start feeling tired because the brook is dry. In short, the grace starts running out to serve in that place, or even to continue working, or to continue to do what it is that you do there. The second thing that happens when a season is ending is the time to move comes. In the case of Elijah, the brook dried and there was nothing to drink no more. And so the ravens stopped bringing the meat as well. So there was nothing to eat as well. So even you, if you continue staying there, one thing is for sure, you will die. So you have to move. So at the end of the season, moving is inevitable. You have to make the transition of that move so that you can move to the next season. So here you are, something is ending, but something else is also beginning. So that tells you that all is not lost. So you have to make the move. And making this move is what many of us don't like doing. Pray to know your next move. Just like in Elijah's case, he was sent to the widow of Zarephath. If you don't know where you're going, if the Lord has not told you where your next move is, pray to know where your widow of Zarephath is. At times, the Lord might not reveal to you, just like he did in the case of Abraham. Abraham was not told where he was going. He was told, wake up, pack your things, go to a land that is unknown. And in his journey, the Lord revealed to him where it is that he was taking him. The same with the children of Israel. They were told, start on a journey of redemption. I am freeing you from slavery. But when they were leaving, they didn't know where they were going. And they ended up staying in the wilderness for 40 years. That is because when the Lord is sending you, he doesn't give you a roadmap of how it's going to be. He just needs you to walk in obedience with the one single step that he has given you. And don't sit there and tell him, show me before I leave. No, God doesn't work like that. He will show you as you go, just like Abraham and the children of Israel. So moving again, like I said, it's not easy. When you start seeing the brook getting dry, it actually stresses you and you feel like, wow, it's coming to this. After all that I've given this company, after all that I've given this organization, after all that I've given to this person, I have worked with them, I've been faithful, and now it's coming to this. And at times you want to hold on to it in spite of all the signs that are showing that the brook is drying. And at times we leave when the situation is too ugly and all we have are marks and wounds that were inflicted on us because we refused to live at the time that we were supposed to live. So follow your inner voice, the Holy Spirit that is alive within you, and listen to him as he says it is time to move. So move. When you see the brook drying, it is actually dry. The third thing that happens when a season is ending is that there is a favor that is awaiting. Yes, you heard me right. Because like we started by saying, God is the author of seasons. So he created that season that you're coming out of. And he's still the author of the next season. The Bible tells us that we move from one level of glory to the other. So if we move from one level of glory, then that means that we are moving to a new level and a greater level. So there is something that awaits, a surprise from the Lord that is only for you, and it comes wrapped in what you call disappointment, because you're disappointed of the brook running dry. Elijah was too, but we have to make the move. And at times it takes boldness to take that move. We fear to move from where it is that we are because we do not know what is out there and we don't know where we're going. But the truth of the matter is that God has not given us a spirit of fear. According to the book of 2 Timothy 1:7, it says that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power, of love, and of a sound mind. So whenever you find yourself fearing, tell the devil to get behind you. Like I said, we move from one level of glory to the other. That's what the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 18 tells us. So be sure that if nothing, even when you don't see it with your physical eyes, wherever the Lord is taking you, he is taking you because he's elevating you to a different level. And remember, we are told that all things happen for the good of us who love God, who have been called according to his purposes. So it is for your good. And the other thing is that God directs the steps of the righteous. So he is directing you, and wherever it is that you are going, it is through his direction. At times, all we have is God. The constant is God in a Christian's life. You do not know what tomorrow holds, but you know God and you know what he said about you. We hold on the promises of God. So a new way of life awaits you in the next season. And you can be sure that you might not know anything about it, but one thing you know is that the Lord is there. And that means that all we have to do then is trust God in the season that awaits. The fourth thing that you need to know as you make that move is that there is a new level that awaits. So for you, you might not see it because you call it a moment of pain, an ugly time, a time of oppression, a time of depression, a time of lack. Whatever you call it, it is a time for your elevation. God will take us through different things. At times we see with our physical eyes, but He will always see with His spiritual eyes. Remember, after Elijah came from Kerith Revering, that's when he went and raised a dead person for the first time. And that was the son of the widow of Zarephath. Remember, after staying with the widow of Zarephath for some time, the son died, and he brought the son of that woman back to life. So it's a level of grace that he didn't have, but he got it. When we look at the children of Israel, when they left Egypt, they left with basically nothing. But we see them stay in the wilderness for 40 years. And for those 40 years, they wore the same shoes, the same clothes. They never outgrew their clothes. This was a level of grace that was upon them. There was also another level of grace, a new intimacy with God, that God was now providing for them what to eat and what to drink. Manna would come from heaven and it would fall. Their work was just to go and collect it every day, apart from the day of Sabbath. So are you seeing? A new level of grace awaits in that place that you don't want to go. Whether it's in the wilderness, whether it's in the widow of Zarephath's house, there is something new that awaits, and that is what we're calling the new level. The Lord is not just taking you from that place to go and kill you or to go and take you downwards. No, He's elevating you, and you have to see with your spiritual eyes the elevation that the Lord is taking you through. As we move from one season to the other, there are two things. You're either going to the widow of Zarephath, which will be the palace, or you're either going into the wilderness, or you're either any other season. But whatever season that is, there are lessons to draw from it. And the sure thing is that the grace will be sufficient. If He's taking you to the wilderness like the children of Israel, your shoes are not going to wear out and your clothes are not going to outgrow you. They will fit until you get out of the wilderness. And He will also provide the manna for you. You will have something to eat and to drink. If you go to the widow of Zarephath, the grace will also be sufficient. There will be a roof over your head. There will be food to eat every day until that season again runs out. And there will be new anointing upon you. You will experience Him in a different ways because it's a place of intimacy that He takes you. It's a segregation of some sort that He is having. Remember, Elijah had to be taken to Kerith Revering for him to be intimate with God, and then to the widow of Zarephath. The children of Israel had to be taken from Egypt to the wilderness to have some intimate moments with God so that they could get to know the God who had delivered them from slavery and the God whom they were going to pray to, because they had been released to go and worship their God. So who is this God? God had to reveal to them who He was in the wilderness before they could start worshiping Him. So it was an intimate moment, and that intimate moment is what God calls us for in different levels. That is why He's a God of seasons. He will take you through different seasons for you to know Him in a different way and in a more intimate ways. But at times we may miss out on that if we do not appreciate the seasons that the Lord has taken us into, because with every season comes an intimate moment and a time to know God better with a different name. There are so many names that God goes by, but you have to be intimate with Him to know Him in those names. So, what season are you in? Whatever season it is that you are in, do not be afraid, because Romans 8:28 says that all things work for the good of they that love the Lord, those who have been called according to His purposes. So, that season is for your good. That season is happening for your good. And that's it for now. Like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, and you can write to us on spiritualperspective2024@gmail.com. Bye for now. I'll see you in the next one.